How strange, how curious, isn't that an AUG? But why is the magazine of it so tiny? That's because it's a 9mm bullpup 16-inch barrel driving machine.
Everyone knows the iconic Steyr AUG, but do you know the Steyr AUG 9mm? Well, that's gonna change, because in this video review I'm gonna talk to you about my Steyr AUG 9mm. Obviously, this one is chambered in 9mm instead of 223 Remington. The Steyr AUG 9mm was first made as a complete rifle and later sold as a conversion kit. This one is one of the rare full sets that were sold by Steyr Arms in Austria with their old A1 style receiver. Well, actually this one came with the black 9mm stock, but I opted for the olive one. Luckily enough, I had a good friend who were able to source the olive one. In case you're wondering why it's in 9mm stock, that's because the 9mm stock has this extended shell deflector, because the 9mm shells tends to be rather erratic, and this one prevents from your face getting hit by a hot 9mm shell. Here's, you can see the difference between the standard AUG stock and the 9mm one. Whoop, whoop, there you go. Also, the olive drab colored 9mm stock basically makes this one look like the MP88, the MP88, which was the style 9mm submachine gun for the Austrian police, also called the Gendarmerie back then, and this was pretty much the rifle that they had in the trunk of their cars. So, what else can I tell you about it? Of course, this one being 9mm means it does not have the short stroke gas piston system of the regular Steyr AUG. This one is a straight blowback rifle. Being a straight blowback one, you have a rather messy 9mm bolt, and therefore the pull is rather heavy. You're now seeing it stays back. That's because it has a bolt catch. It doesn't have a bolt release. So to release it, you have to get a mag out and put it back forward. Of course, if you would have bullets loaded in the mag catch wouldn't engage. So no mag release with this old design, just a mag catch. If you're looking closely here, you're seeing that's the original contour of the standard 223 stock, but it has this adapter in it. The adapter is semi-easily removable by pushing back in here and pulling it out. The thing you have to know is if you're having a magazine in it, you can't pull it out, so you always have to remove the magazine first. Also, if you want to remove the upper from the lower, see that? The bolt won't come out as long as the magazine adapter is in there. So if you want to disassemble, put the magazine adapter out first, and there you go. This one is the 9mm straight blowback one. You see there is no separate bolt head like with the 223 version. Oh, and it's dirty. I think I should have cleaned the gun after the last time I shoot it. That's one solid block here. As you have seen right now, this one is easily disassembled like the original one, and like the original one, you can also remove the barrel, pulling the bolt back, pushing the lever here, turning it, and you should be able to pull it out. There you go. 16-inch barrel, easily to get out and as easy to get back in. Well, so much for disassembling it. Same, interestingly enough, the 9mm AUG uses the same trigger box as the 223 one, so they are exchangeable. The upper receiver is also exchangeable. At the original AUG 9mm, this one is not foldable. But I've installed a foldable olive grab one instead. The reason why it usually is not foldable is because there's not much space left there in front of it. So if people who are usually using the thumb in front of the vertical grip, they will probably get a bit burned. So that's why with the original AUG 9mm, this one isn't foldable. I've replaced it anyway, just because I can. No, actually, I had an olive trap left and I didn't want to leave the black vertical grip on when I'm using the olive trap stock. Classic A1 upper receiver. Steyr also sells the 9mm AUG with a modern style receiver from the A3 series with a rail. Actually, the one that's sold with a rail is the one that's common in Austria, and this one is the rare one. This one didn't show up since ever. That's the first of a very small batch that turned up in Austria. It probably was made for the USA, but somehow wasn't shipped, and because we had a change in our gun law in 2020, now it's allowed to have this one, and I couldn't say no to this classic MP88 style AUG. The scope is the original 1.5 scope that you will also find on the 223 AUG. It has the crosshairs with the ring in it. I don't think I can show you that, but I will show you that otherwise. And it has the iron sight above it in case you will ever need it. You probably also noticed by now that there is no compensator flash header or whatsoever. Well, reason for that is it's 9mm, it's a 16-inch barrel, there isn't much muzzle flash coming out of there because most of the gunpowder will burn anyway. But now here's a little tricky. This one is a thread for a suppressor. This overbarrel suppressor is rather rare. It's not sold to the public yet and probably never will be because Steyr just made it for the police back then. There is a Swiss company called Wissen who makes a suppressor for that one, but it's rather hard to get Swiss suppressors into Austria. I'm trying to get one, but it would take a long time. Of course, there are people who put an adapter on it. That's about a third that they can use other suppressors. I don't have one of these adapters. One of my buddy has, so maybe he will borrow me his one for a few test shots. Speaking of shooting, this one being a 9mm direct blowback firearm with a 16-inch barrel and a rather heavy bolt, it has a very slow pushing. So with the 223 it would be more snappy, and with the 9mm it is more of a slow push. It's not a terrible push, but it's not good one either, because for my preference, I prefer to get a quick shot out and the recoil be done with it so I can get my second shot on target rather quickly. But this one is pushing slow that I have the feeling that I need to wait until it's finished before I can put my second shot into the target. So that's something people need to get used to. Also, don't use slow ammo. Don't use subsonic because of the whole mass of the bolt and the 16-inch barrel. This 9mm AUG prefers hot loads. Don't go with subsonics. Sport loads that are rather slow are okay as long as they're not subsonics, but this one actually prefers ammo that was made for police and military. So a rather hard-loaded 124 grain 9mm will do the trick. If you're running subsonics with it, you will usually get failure to extract, failure to feed, stuff like that. One of the common issues with the AUG 9mm, it has a mag situation. This one is the official mag for the Steyr AUG 9mm. That's the same magazines that are used in the MP88. You can see it has a cutout for the bolt catch, and it has cut out for the number of bullets. It's a 25 round magazines, and this one are super expensive, even in Austria. Even in Austria, one of those mags now is 150 euro for a single 25 round mags, which is terrible high priced. But these are the only mags that run flawlessly and that have the bolt catch. Also, with the 25 mag inserted, it has a rather nice line to it. Why am I mentioning all the stuff about the magazines? Well, there is another option instead of using the MP88 magazine, and that's the MP69 magazine. They almost look identical. That's because they are almost identical. Almost because if you're looking very close on the back side, the part where the magazine hooks in is not on the same position. The MP88 magazine, this one, has this part more to the bottom than the other one, meaning that one of the magazine will sit farther up in the adapter than the other one. Now, that's also why you will have trouble using MP69 magazines in the 9mm AUG. It fits without problems. It also feeds without problems in some cases, but in most cases you will have failures to feed because this one doesn't go far enough in the firearm. So let me show you. This is one of the AUG 9mm adapters. This is the MP69 mag. If you push it in there, you can see that there is a visible gap between the magazine and the ramp here. If you're doing the same with the MP88 mag, there is no gap. And that's the trick with that one. But, there's always a but, there is an old style magazine adapter. If you're looking here, you can see that the ramp has a different size. The old magazine adapter has a bigger ramp. Bigger ramp. The old magazine adapter also doesn't have the push-out safety like the new ones, but actually, who does need that anyway? So, we're taking our MP69 mag, and we're looking here, and we're seeing there is almost no gap here. Let me show you in comparison with the newer style magazine adapter. And see, there you have the gap, and on the other side, there is no gap. So if you really can't find MP88 style magazines for your 9mm AUG, you can get MP69 mags and the old style magazine adapter. Again, old style magazine adapter. The easiest way to recognize it is that it won't have this safety, this pull-out safety here. Let me show you that. Pull-out safety versus no pull-out safety. Yeah. There you go. One advantage of using the old magazine adapter is there are also 32 round magazines for the MP69, which kind of looks super wonky in the AUG 9mm, but well, there is more ammo in the magazine, and more ammo in the magazine is always welcome. There is another magazine option. You can modify the MP69 magazines to fit more like the MP88 magazine by moving the back of the magazine where the magazine holds into the magazine adapter. You can see this one. The welding points have been drilled out and the whole plate has just moved a bit to the downside. I've already tested the magazine and it pretty much works as intended. So you can see they are much more close to each other now. Also, here is the proof. No visible gap. There you go. So modifying an MP69 magazines may be the easiest way for you to get magazines if you're having a AUG 9mm and can't find the proper MP88 magazines. But of course, if you're modifying these magazines and you don't have a new follower and don't do an extra cutout, you won't have the bolt catch ability. It's just a quick recap with that magazine. There is no bolt catch. Let's talk about the ergonomics of these firearms. I already mentioned the recoil, which is kind of weird if you're not getting used to. The other parts are pretty much the same as the standard AUG 223. You have the push safety. You have the magazine release, as I've already shown several times, which is now here instead of up here, but it is a rather cool motion. Easy to get out, easy to get in. Just getting a bit used to it, and you're running this firearm like a champ. What else can I say? It is really fun to shoot if you're using the correct mags and if this one runs. Again, the recoil management, this is something you need to work on, but it's a really pleasant shooter. I do recommend the 9mm one if you're going for a blinking gun or if I'm going for an exotic, but if you're obviously going for the retro one, you will lack the usual attachment points for suppressors, for lights, laser, and the stuff alike. So this is more for me of a collector's / blinking gun rather than a tactical rifle. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I thank you for watching, I guess, and I will have some more fun with this one at the range. Bye.